On this episode of Car Warriors,
to the square now!
It's the Windy City versus the Urban Heat.
The man?
And it's an all-out war as they try to rebuild these 1978 Firebirds in just 48 hours.
We got like 30 seconds left.
And only one team will walk away with the win and their car.
This whole part of the car has nothing.
This thing looks terrible.
I'm Jimmy Shine, and I hold several land speed world records. I also run the best speed shop in Southern California. For me, it's all about style and power. I have searched for the best custom car builders in the country to take on my challenge. Create the ultimate automotive transformation in just 48 hours. Starting with 2 mystery cars. All right! A dream collection of parts, and with the help of my 2 lead mechanics, Brad Fanshaw, he's been customizing cars for over 25 years and has won both Ford and GM Design Awards. And Ray McClellan, he's the owner of Full Throttle Customs, specializing in tuning street machines that have in excess of 1,000 horsepower. They'll have just 48 hours to transform their cars from scrap
It's a part right there.
to showroom. The winner gets to keep their car. But first, they need to impress me. My shop, my rules. Nobody quits in this shop. It's time to gear up for battle. This is Car Warriors.
For this battle, on the red side of the garage, from Phoenix, Arizona, Hot Rods by Dean.
My shop is known for high-end hot rods, high-end customs. Everything we do is high-end. Very aggressive, old-school type cars.
We're going to rewrite what people think can be done in 48 hours to a car. We're going to change more than people can imagine.
And their opponents on the blue side from Chicago, Illinois, Chaotic Customs.
We build pretty much everything from hot rods, old school rat rods, one-off wild designs.
Brian's one of those guys that's totally scattered but very creative. He comes up with the idea, I get it done.
We have an excellent crew. If I go back home empty-handed, it's going to be a sad day.
All right, blue team from Chicago, red team from Phoenix. You guys are going to have 48 hours to build these cars that I've selected for you. And the team that impresses me the most, you're going to walk out of here as Car Warriors champions. This is 48 hours, and this is going to be tough. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of help. These guys are my lead techs. This is Brad Fanshaw, and this is Ray McClellan.
Ray has been assigned to assist Hot Rods by Dean. Brad has been assigned to assist Chaotic Customs.
You guys want to look at these cars?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I want to see them too. Brad, Ray, let's have a look.
Yeah, all right.
2 1978 Pontiac Firebirds.
The Firebird is forever linked with the movie Smokey and the Bandit. The movie's popularity dramatically drove up sales of the 1978 Firebird, which had more horsepower and better handling than the 77.
These things aren't necessarily my favorite car. I'd like to see you guys make these cars my favorite cars. As always on Car Warriors, we start this competition with a challenge. The first team to get their car on the lift, motor and transmission out, get them in these taped boxes in the front of your lifts, is going to win their choice from one of these 2 motors behind me. The engine to my right is a small block Chevy. 383 stroker, makes 375 horse. The engine to my left, it too is a small block Chevy. 383 stroker with 475 horse. Internally, one's got a little more juice than the other. Choose wisely. Anybody have any questions? Clock starts now.
Come on, blue team, let's go. Cut it hard, cut it hard, cut it hard, cut it hard, cut it hard. We missed that by a mile.
Cut the wheel the other way, Chris.
Other way, other way, other way. Push back. Just push right there. Yeah, let's go.
30 seconds of the competition, I realized why they're called chaotic customs. They destroyed my jack.
Cut it. Cut it.
I think in the last 15, 20 years I've broken, let's see, none. I've never broken a jack in my life.
Which way? Cut it hard. Hard.
While the blue team struggles to get their car on the lift,
Left, left, left. Yeah, I'm trying, man.
the red team's making it look easy.
Step aside, please. I'm going up with it right now. These guys are really moving. I mean, hopefully we don't peter out, or these guys don't run out of steam, or they don't forget something that's very crucial.
Where's the cutters? We find cutters?
You know, I'm noticing this crew has actually taken a lot of parts off the vehicle and just throwing them away. Those might be real key and instrumental when putting the car back together. A lot of that stuff, non-replaceable.
Someone's got to catch the front of the hood. We're about off.
6 minutes into the competition, and Chaotic Customs is still in disarray.
Walk back, head, back. Now, don't put it on the roof. Don't set it down.
Everybody was just running around. It was not a good situation. You got Jim running around with his head cut off. You got Cody going, oh my God, what did I just get into?
You got channel lock.
Couldn't get it together to save our life.
Damn it. Man. Just take a breath, Brian. It'll happen.
No, it's not that. I choked when a bunch of antifreeze flew in my mouth.
Brian is the kind of leader that, no, wait a minute, I don't even know what kind of leader he is.
Now, where's the bolts for the chain?
He's every which way.
You got to find them in the motor.
Are we going to drop it down and pull the motor, right? Yep.
Yeah, but where's the chain for this?
It's right here by Charlie.
Only 20 minutes in, and the red team is already preparing to pull the engine.
This thing's got to get wheeled forward.
Let's go, pull. Pull, Glenn, pull.
Don't go too fast. Let's go
Glenn,
to the center.
To the square, now! On the ground, on the ground, down. Down. Woo! Way to be, guys.
It was so smooth. It was unbelievable. We worked as a team. If the rest of the build goes this way, we got this thing's hand down.
You know, they pulled that other motor out and we haven't even got the thing set yet. I'm just going, this is going to be a bad, bad day.
You guys, that was like a world record right there, getting that motor out. Very impressive. That means you guys win the engine challenge and you get to choose from one of those two motors.
Yeah. We want the one with horsepower.
Okay.
The red team has selected an engine that makes an impressive 475 horsepower, 100 more horsepower than the blue team's engine. It'll be an important advantage when it comes time to test the finished cars.
Blue team, sorry you didn't win the challenge, but you got a 375 horse motor. It's still great. Okay, well, that challenge is over. The parts cage is now open.
The Car Warriors parts cage is stuffed with high-end parts for the team's Firebirds. There are gauges, body kits, parts to build custom sound systems, performance boosters, and even racing harnesses and shifter knobs.
We want white face, white face, white face, white face.
There's a million parts in there. It's overwhelming. It's like unlike anything I've ever seen.
Look for the things there's only one of. That's stuff you got to get now, because if they grab it, you don't get it.
Grab this transmission right here.
All these teams sweat their tire choices.
So put the 25s in the front and put the 35s in the rear.
They not only want looks, but they also want the performance.
Unless you want to go something even smaller in the front.
No. We going 245s all the way around, or?
We won the motor challenge, so we have some extra horsepower, so we definitely want to go with something a little stickier.
I mean, we can't go wrong with the hand cook. The way these things are cut, they're pretty quiet. It's a good handling and performance tire. And we'll grab 4 245s. Let's go.
I don't think there's any direction. They just started grabbing. There was really no organization. They got doubles of some stuff. We're going to have to go through and take more time to put it all back.
While the blue team has too much, the red team has the opposite problem.
We didn't do very good in this. We dropped the ball. We got a lot of lefts and not rights. We wanted a nitrous kit. There was no nitrous kit, and we found out the other team got it before us. Everything that we wanted to get, the other team seemed to have gotten it magically.
Now that the teams have their parts, they get together to plan how they'll build their cars. They'll need to hit the 4 car building essentials: engine and transmission, suspension, body and paint, and interior. Hot Rods by Dean on the red team already has the old engine out, so Chaotic Customs has to make up ground.
So basically, we're going to do a really almost like a ghost fade of Chicago skyline down the side of the car, and then we're going to do some old school lettering, almost like a delivery kind of car.
Chaotic Customs is from Chicago, and Chicago is the birthplace of booze running. So what better thing to do than turn this Firebird into a booze running hot rod?
We're going to paint it jet black. We're going to go with the gold and silver motif, old school style delivery. I think it should look pretty good. Yeah, we're going to have the headers exit out where the original vents were on the fenders.
Got a good theme, and we're gonna rock the house with this.
Beautiful. All right.
All right.
But the red team is going in an entirely different direction.
We need to figure out how we can condense, make less interior, less paint work.
Cut the roof off. If you cut that off and made it like a two-seater, maybe a speedster or something.
Oh, do some speed stuff like that behind the front seats, and then get rid of all the back seats and turn the back all into speakers and a stereo equipment?
Yeah, behind the seats could be where all the audio goes. Cut the roof off the car.
I mean, you guys got to understand, I don't know your talent yet.
Right.
So, you know, you guys are taking on a big challenge. You know, if you guys stay focused, it's possible.
Right.
And it'll be way over the top. We'll really be able to show what you guys do.
I'm for it.
If you're for it, I'm for it.
We just decided we're going to cut the roof off the car. It's a big deal. The car could collapse, it could taco right in half, and we'll be done and go home, and that'll be it.
We've got 475 horsepower, hand-cooked tires. I'm worried about this thing hooking up and twisting. It's going to boil down to whether or not these guys have enough talent to make this happen.
Coming up, the red team sticks with their plans and risks it all.
Okay, there's no turning back.
Let's go, pull, Glenn, pull.
The red team, Hot Rods by Dean, just won the engine challenge by removing their motor in record time.
Hey, guys.
And now they want to tackle an ambitious design. They want to cut the roof off this 1978 Firebird.
To cut the roof off this car is a huge challenge for us. We're a safety factor, a time management factor.
From the factory, these cars never come as a convertible. They did have T-tops, and we've all seen them bust the T-tops out whenever these things put some power down.
In order to safely remove the roof, they'll need to add multiple structural reinforcements.
Emitter in.
It doesn't take long for Jimmy to notice the red team is doing something unusual.
I'm looking at what's going on here, and they're doing subframe connectors. That's from what I can gather. It's got some 2x3 tubing under there.
They're gonna add some subframe connectors, do some cross bracing, and cut the top off.
Cutting the roof off, I think, is a bad idea. This is simple. Let's say, here's their chassis. Well, by having a roof on the car, that gives it this geometric structure, so this can't actually flex. Now, by removing that, you're back down to this one single geometric plane, and there's just zero strength in it.
Right now we're putting a cross brace in, so when we cut the roof off, it does the kick, the door corners don't fall in on us.
While the red team presses forward, the blue team is still having trouble removing the engine.
Hang on. Don't want to pinch a brake line.
You know, after the motor challenge was lost, I kind of noticed that Brian and his crew were really mentally whipped by that happening.
I've never taken this damn long to do something.
And Brian seemed to be the most scatterbrained out of all of them.
Oh.
It's gonna be a long 48 hours, dude.
Yeah.
The blue team is far behind when it comes to their engine, but they are keeping pace on the interior. Their plans go beyond just simple color coordination.
Well, we're doing a Chicago theme. We're going to make inserts that we're going to put the skyline on, the whole skyline. The Sears Tower on one seat and Hancock on the other with the buildings around them.
These guys have some great ideas for their interior. If they can pull it off, it'll be awesome.
9 hours into the competition, Tony and Dean are putting the finishing touches on the reinforcements to the Firebird's frame.
I'm just waiting to see some more structure go in the car, which I'm not seeing, and it looks like they're about to cut the roof off right now.
We're going to start cutting it. If that gap changes, we will then put forward strut bars to pull the car back together.
I'm going to guess, and I'm going to say that once you start cutting, it's going to start moving, and we're going to have to do those front braces.
So just do them now and be done with it.
I probably would.
Okay. Okay, I'll take your advice. So we're going to put down bars in it. Oh, we got it. Yeah. They're all bending against us, that it's going to break.
There needs to be a front cross brace. There actually should be some X bracing in there because you never know which way the car is going to twist.
You can't fit, you won't never fit that though. I mean, the bar would be on his leg, and that's all he'll be complaining about the whole time is when he's driving, how the bar's digging into his hip.
What if the bar went right here?
Then it's a bitch to get in. I don't know. I mean, we do whatever you want.
Jimmy.
Yes, sir.
Can you sit in my mock-up vehicle here real quick? Or are you allowed to do that?
Oh, I don't see why not. Nobody's ever asked me before, but I think it's smart. The guys actually asked me to sit in the car to see where I fit, because I'm going to be the one driving it, where the steering is, where the seat is.
Is that how you sit? You sit open-faced when you sit?
I'm okay with that.
Stop! Go back.
We're good. We can go all the way.
The blue team has finally extracted their motor.
Okay, go ahead and let her down.
And now they get to work smoothing and refinishing the engine compartment. Over on the red side, the team from Phoenix has finished adding their additional reinforcements and is almost ready to remove the roof from their Pontiac Firebird.
Once they cut the top off, we'll see as they cut whether the top twists or whether it comes off nice and smooth. If it twists, then we've got some big concerns.
And even if they did a proper job and they supported it, I'm still not sure if I like it either way.
Okay, there's no turning back.
Coming up, Hot Rods by Dean cuts the roof.
The whole time I'm just praying that door gap changes, I know I'm in trouble.
The blue team, Chaotic Customs, scrambles to clean out their engine bank after delays in removing their engine.
Get those wires out of there, that'll go in there pretty nice.
And the red team, Hot Rods by Dean, is about to make an irreversible modification. They are removing the roof of the 1978 Pontiac Firebird.
It's make or break. This car could fold in half as soon as we get this cut finished.
That door gap changes, I know I'm in trouble.
Is that through? Yeah, you're through. It didn't move an inch.
I have no room for speaking, seeing that we're super behind. However, I do know that I'm not a complete moron. Cutting the top, especially on a race car. When's the last time you saw a dragster when you're cutting the top?
We're going to straight off the back. Now it's looking like something, boys.
While the red team starts cleaning up the body of the now roofless Firebird, the blue team finishes up smoothing out the engine compartment. And they also try to find a way to squeeze more power out of their smaller engine.
Our motor makes more horsepower, so we added a nitrous oxide kit to make up for the difference. This one is a plate system. It runs underneath the carburetor. As soon as you hit that button, puts you back in the seat like a rocket. It's the best.
The team is adding a new fuel tank and an electric fuel pump. It's going to take about 3 to 4 extra hours. That might have been used somewhere else.
14 hours into the competition, and the team from Phoenix maintains their breakneck pace.
Well, not only did the red team from Phoenix win the engine challenge, it looks like they're getting their motor in first, too.
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Our approach coming into this competition is a 45-hour build. If you push it to the 48 hours, you're just not going to get there because you're planning on something that's not realistic.
They're banging out. They're not wasting any time. You know, Tony, when he's got a second, he's fabbing the headlights, and then, but he's just been jumping around helping with everything, so things are going really well.
It's 16 hours into the build. And over by Chaotic Customs, team leader Brian has been so focused on the engine bay and bodywork, the interior has fallen far behind schedule.
We're way behind on interior, and it's kicking our butt. And look at what our competition's doing over there. He's got a white seat. It's pulled really tight. It's got really nice look to it, and so we can't pull back too much, or we're just going to be cutting our own throats. So
let me go talk to Ed real quick. So he ain't going to finish his job at the rate we're going, and you know it. For the rear seats, forget the Skyline. Don't do it.
Just as long as so that is going to sell pleats.
Don't even do pleats.
We're going to make a plane?
Yes, we're going to make a plane because we don't have time to do this.
Your call. You're the boss.
Yeah. I got to do it, Ed.
Whatever.
All right.
17 hours down, and Hot Rods by Dean has finished installing and wiring their engine.
You ready to fire?
Yeah.
Good.
We knew the other team was probably going to get their motor fired up first. We could kind of see the way they were working. At the end of the day, I'm after quality. So, you know, kind of go screw yourself.
That kicks ass.
That is kicks ass, you're right. That's totally cool.
Not even halfway through the contest, the red team is virtually finished with their engine and transmission, but the blue team, while still behind, is making ground.
Whoa.
The nitrous system is ready to go, and they are installing their engine.
The guys from Chicago, the blue team, started out real slow. But it's almost like the later it gets, the better they're going. So let's hope that they stay with that same pace. Looks pretty. Even eyeball, it looks good.
And with the engine in place, they begin on one of their centerpieces of their design.
The Hedman headers are great headers. However, the physical location of the piping, that just wasn't what I wanted for the custom build.
And one of the mantras of car warriors is, if you don't have it, make it.
My plan is to chop up these headers, scavenge every bend that I could possibly get out of them, and then re-weld them together to match what I envisioned for the build.
It's an ambitious project, and one they need to finish before they can get the car into paint, which the red team is already doing.
I noticed somewhere along the line my guy started getting a little too relaxed and started getting a little too overconfident, like this was in the bag. We got to get this car finished. The car has to be done, and yeah, you can't count them out.
All right. Woo!
Coming up, the blue team has paint troubles.
This thing looks terrible.
And Brian takes on a bold solution.
I strongly object to this.
What's the worst that could happen?
With less than 24 hours left, both teams are starting to feel the pressure.
Less cigarettes, more sewing, and we'll be great.
Did you bring the hood forward?
I loosened it.
What do you think I was talking about bringing forward? Nothing else moves.
After significant cutting and welding, Cody's headers are coming along nicely.
Jimmy's probably going to be bummed that I burned through $1,000 in headers, but once he drives the car, I think he's going to really appreciate it.
Cody pulled them off in 6 hours. That's insane. He did a great job.
Over on Phoenix's side, Dean discusses the particulars of the paint job with Chris and Matt.
What do you guys think? You think that's enough?
I do.
Yeah, my only concern is there is nothing back here.
Right.
From this whole quarter panel right here, there's nothing. It's too boring back here.
Chicago finally moves their car into the paint booth, but at this point, they're way behind.
Really out of time to do things.
Been out of time about 5-10 hours ago.
Tensions run high, and team leader Brian is on the verge of a meltdown.
That was like a 20-minute cigarette break.
Well, I go out and have 3 of them real quick.
Yeah. Let's go every couple hours, and we'll go have one of them real quick. Is that cool? I love you to death, Ed. I know you're going to pull it off. I'm just having a little bit of a panic attack. Okay? Promise me 1 cigarette from now on, and we're going to stick to about the same time frame, please? Yes? Thank you.
Halfway through the competition, Hot Rods by Dean is surging ahead in paint, while Chaotic Customs is struggling to catch up. On the red side, Dean from Phoenix is still concerned the back of their Trans Am looks too plain. He talks to Matt about adding more airbrushing.
Even if it kind of went into the trunk a little bit and maybe caught a couple of pieces on the spoiler and left it. Matt and I were just having a conversation about how much is too much, how much is not enough, how crazy do we want to get. I was thinking about pulling some more back through the trunk area. He's like, you know, that's going to be a lot more bluer than you may be thinking it is. I think it's a good compromise without going too far over because it's pretty aggressive.
It's definitely wild. Yeah, but that's what we want. Yeah. Neither one of us is going to drive this car.
No.
As Chicago works on their paint job, something goes terribly wrong.
They used a sealer. It's supposed to seal everything underneath so nothing comes back through. It's It's a little bit of a quandary. What happened here? They didn't break the seal, so they didn't sand on it after it was painted. They went right to color.
This thing looks terrible.
Don't give up yet, man.
No, it's not
We still got 20 hours.
Jimmy steps in with some advice.
Brad and I are looking at the car and we're just throwing out ideas. Basically, you got that black all buried in that clear, okay? You got that dust, you got trash in that paint. Well, you've already got that clear on there. Why don't you just color sand it down, knock it down, roll it back in, lay another coat of clear on it. I would be very discreet and I would be very reserved in my technique and just knock the top of it off.
Yeah, and then
clear
the whole thing. I think it's the best shot.
I think it's a bit risky, but you know what? We're this far into it. What's the worst that could happen?
Brian seems to agree with Jimmy's suggestion, then decides on his own course of action.
I hope he's not running a DA over it.
Hey, Brian, I thought we were going to wet sand it by hand.
I'm going to see how it takes on the top of the DA real quick on 1,000.
A DA is actually a form of a sander. DA stands for dual action. It actually oscillates and moves many different directions.
Dude, you got to be so gentle with it.
Watch, trust me. See, you barely put any pressure on it, and you'll be all right.
Okay, let me ask you the second question.
Yep.
This isn't even where we have a problem.
No, but
So why are we doing it here?
because we're going to reshoot the entire car.
I strongly object to this.
Crew thought it was a bad idea. Brad thought it was a bad idea. I thought it was a real bad idea.
Okay, well, I said my piece. I mean, I think it might be a mistake.
I'm on Brad's side, officially.
That's all right.
Right now, Brian is in panic mode. He didn't actually train for this competition. You get 25, 30, 35 hours into it working straight. I mean, it really takes a toll on your body. He's battling that right now, and he's making some decisions and some judgments that if he wasn't so tired, I don't think he would make these decisions, because I've never seen anybody use a DA to color sand a clear coat on a car before. Just one little slip. He's done.
Coming up, both teams try to overcome obstacles as they race to the finish.
It has to be in the box or you're disqualified.
12 hours left in the build. Hot Rods by Dean is in the home stretch, while Brian from Chaotic Customs is busy smoothing the paint job on their Trans Am with a dual-action sander.
If Brian can pull off what he's doing right now, using a DA to color sand his car and then shoot clear over it, wow, I'd be really impressed.
We've definitely had setbacks. When it comes to confidence, I would say I'm very confident that we're going to have a decent paint job towards the end. We're doing the best with what we got.
Shockingly, Brian's method of clearing up the paint job seems to be working.
I'm flying on this. See what I mean? I like it. If you know your machine, you know your machine.
Know your equipment, you know how to work it.
How's it working out?
Good. It'll feel real smooth in a second.
It might work.
Yep.
Despite all the problems that came before, Chicago gets their car back into the booth and finally seems to be getting a handle on their paint job.
I mean, there's not even a lot of dirt in this thing anymore, dude.
Dude, I tried my off to keep it clean.
With Brian's risky gamble paying off, Jim can begin his lettering, and Chicago closes the gap in the body and paint department. Meanwhile, Phoenix pulls their car out of the paint booth and realizes the stance is too high.
Get those wheels on, get it back down, let's get a couple guys to bounce on a few times.
See where we're
See
at.
exactly where we are.
If Phoenix doesn't adjust the ride height properly, it could cost them the competition.
This far into the build, I think we're about 50% done with the suspension. We don't like the ride height. We're going to put it back on the lift and see if we can lower that ride height about 2 inches. We'll see how the next few hours play out.
Over on Chicago's side, Jim works meticulously on the car's lettering.
The lettering on the doors came from the 70s. It was a fun thing to do, to go back and enjoy some of the heritage from that time.
Meanwhile, Hot Rods by Dean has cut both front and rear coils on their Trans Am. The ride height is looking good.
After lowering the back end and lowering the coil springs and all that, I think we're at a good place right now.
Dean can now focus on other matters.
What are you up to?
I'm going to squish the filter. The filter's too tall, and we have an air cleaner assembly that sticks through the hood. I need about a ½ inch. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to squish a ½ inch out of the filter, so when I put it back underneath there, it gives me the distance I need.
Hot Rods by Dean successfully places the compressed air filter through their shaker hood and feel there's little left to do but buff out the paint job. With 4 hours left in the build, Jimmy Shine stops the clock for a paint challenge.
All right, teams, attention, please. Come up here. I got a little challenge for everybody. It's going to be a paint challenge. I need 2 of the best guys from each team.
Let's show off both of our talent on both of you.
Depends on what it is.
How about Chris and Matt?
I'd go with Chris and Matt.
I'd go with Chris and Matt, too.
Okay, Matt and Chris it is.
Okay? We got Chris and Matt, and we got Jim and Matt. Here's how this is going to work. We've got 2 items here. You're going to find out what those are going to be. You can airbrush, you can pinstripe, however you feel like you want to paint these things. When I reveal these, you got ½ an hour to get them back here done. And then I decide which one I like best. Here we go. Bowling pins.
So House of Colors has a contest every year, and they choose obscure objects to really test the painter's abilities. And I thought, how about we use some bowling pins and see what kind of paint jobs these guys can do.
You got 30 minutes. And the time starts right now.
How about I set and base coat this? Okay. And we just go wild, crazy, stupid pinstriping on this thing all over.
Go. Done. I love it.
Style.
Chicago decides Jim's pinstriping will be the focus of their bowling pin, while Phoenix leans heavily on Matt's airbrushing artistry. The winner gets an exceptionally valuable prize, an extra hour of build time.
You want me to get some sandpaper? Colors, man. Let me know or need anything.
While Matt from Phoenix works diligently on his intricate airbrush design, Matt from Chicago has finished his base coat, paving the way for Jim's pinstriping.
So what?
It's a battle of polar opposite paint styles as Matt and Jim work away. With just over 5 minutes left in the challenge, the blue team sets their pin down on the table.
Hey, just a heads up, the other team's done, but you guys got about 5 minutes left.
But Matt from Phoenix still has a great deal of work ahead of him.
This side I haven't even touched.
Okay, that needs to be in the box in 3 minutes. It has to be in the box or you're disqualified.
Hey, we got like 30 seconds left.
15 seconds, I'll give it to you. And you run.
With just 15 seconds left, Chris grabs the pin and runs it over to the table.
8, 7, 6, 5. That's really cutting it quite close now, isn't it?
Jimmy Shine carefully inspects the finished product from both teams.
Wow, that's crazy. Tell you what, Matt, you're a real fine airbrusher now, aren't you? Now, this is Jim, real old school, pinstriping, black. They're such polar opposites. I'm gonna have to say it this time. Red team, you guys just won an hour. Congratulations.
Phoenix's team wins the extra hour because of Chicago's poor pinstriping. But shockingly, Hot Rods by Dean has an unusual request.
Could we forfeit that and let the clock keep running, please?
You want to forfeit the hour you just won?
Yeah.
All right, if that's what you want.
It's great that we won this paint challenge because it's an hour that they don't get to put time into their car.
Dean's decision kind of sends 2 messages. One to Jimmy, a little cocky, maybe not so good. The other to the team, we're arrogant, we're good.
Are they confident? Are they complacent? We're going to see come Judgment Day.
Fueled by Phoenix's apparent arrogance, Chicago rallies together and fires up their motor.
Fire! Not taking that hour, you'd have to be a lunatic. I'm not that insane. It's a 48-hour build. If you're granted 49 hours, take it to your advantage. Get a little extra sheen out of something. Touch up that piece of interior. Build a nice bracket for a motor. Anything.
With less than an hour left, both teams race to the finish.
This door, everybody, does not open anymore. We're keeping it nice and clean.
Chicago's confidence is growing. They feel Jim's pinstriping might be the key to winning the competition.
It's classic in design. Jim's pinstriping is beautiful. I'm very confident that today we have a good chance to bring home this competition.
With just minutes left, Chicago makes their final push.
There's a little bit of a time crunch going on. We're down to the last final minutes.
Phoenix's team, feeling their car complete, rests comfortably on the sideline.
If it was my car, I would have taken every minute possible, but those guys are just chilling out over there.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year. That was uneventful. Thank you, Ray.
Coming up, Jimmy tests and examines both teams' rides.
You guys are talented, real talented, but the heart of any machine is under this hood.
The teams have worked tirelessly for 48 hours straight. It's time to see the cars.
What I want Jimmy to realize when he judges our car is how much work we did do. We took on a lot, and we got a finished product at the other end.
When it comes to performance, when it comes to handling, and when it comes to a theme, our car is dynamite, and it blows the competition out of the water.
The teams may have their opinions, but there's only one voice that counts.
This judging is going to be so difficult. There's so many different things to weigh out here. You know, I'm looking at the whole package. Paint, body, interior, engine bay. Then I take it out and I test it. I drive it. I want to see how well it accelerates, brakes, handles, steers. I'm going to judge all of that.
From Phoenix, Arizona, Hot Rods by Dean's Trans Am is the first to be tested.
I'm really surprised that Dean and his crew built this car. This is not their style. They nailed their ride height, though. They got it down in the back. You got nice clearance. You know, for the team that actually gave up an extra hour to work, choosing to sit down, you think they would have had time to paint the drums black. I'm guessing this car's really going to handle until it folds in half like a taco.
To test the car's performance, Jimmy runs each team's ride through a slalom and drag course.
You know, it was a little loose actually going down the drag strip. She was bopping and hopping and moving around a little bit. They never made these cars in convertibles for a reason, because they collapse. This tire that the team chose, soft compound, good traction, works really good in the slalom, even better at the drag strip. I really believe these guys have a lot of real talent. I just think a couple bad decisions were made here. But I can say this is probably the most ambitious car I've ever seen built for this competition.
Next up, Jimmy tests the Booze Runner designed by Chicago, Illinois' Chaotic Customs.
First thing I would address is the ride height. That front end needs to come down a little bit. This was a real problem area, but it's actually worked out. Crazy Brian pulled it off with his DA. You know, all the pinstriping on the hood, there's no symmetry here. This is the first time ever in this competition that anybody's actually had enough time to plumb in a nitrous oxide system. If it wasn't leaking like it is right now, their motor would have had the same power as the motor in the other vehicle. If you look at these seats, actually have the Chicago city skyline sewn into the center section. Now that's what I'm talking about. Nobody in these competitions have ever gone so far as to cut up a set of headers and actually run them through the fenders and make them functional. All right, go for a little ride. You know, the car did really quite well. Took off straight, went through the slalom, handled well. The brakes are just fantastic. It did a good job.
Now, Jimmy heads back to the garage to give the teams his results.
Hot Rods by Dean, Phoenix, Arizona. You guys are talented, real talented. You guys actually had this thing finished with time to spare. Did a really nice job painting these wheels. Does anybody know what I'm looking at?
Brake drums.
Brake drums! Yeah, look at that. Forgot that. You guys could have done that. Anyway, let's talk about fitting me in the car. Look at me. What part of me screams white and baby blue? Every part. To me, it's just kind of girly. I didn't expect this kind of a car.
I want to talk about actually cutting and removing the roof of this car. Just after today, it's already dropped about ½ an inch. Okay, Chaotic Customs, Chicago, Illinois. First thing I notice is the stance. It's too bad this car doesn't have that stance.
There's a reason for it. We plan on taking this car home, and Chicago has the worst potholes in the world.
So you're actually kind of crumbing on your home city there, huh?
Just the roads.
Just the roads are terrible.
Just the roads.
I also noticed the paint. Brian, you went against Brad's advice, Matt's advice. You sent everybody away, and you alone, you insisted on running a DA over this to knock all those knots and everything out of it.
I just wanted to be responsible. I'm the team leader, and if this paint job didn't look good, I wanted to make sure that that weight was on my shoulders, no one else's.
Okay, well said. So actually I want to talk about the pinstriping. You know, it's very old school style. There's no airbrushing on this. You hand lettered it. I really like that. But when you get up close and you really start analyzing it and looking into it, nothing is actually symmetrical. All right, we talked about the paint, we talked about the pinstriping. Naturally, let's talk about the interior. Ed, you did something very subtle. You see there's nice, patterns in the seats and the door panels and such, but you kind of brought your hometown into this as well. It's the Chicago skyline.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. It's subtle. It doesn't punch you in the face, but it's a nice detail. Okay, so we've seen the outside of the car, we've seen the paint, we've seen the interior, but the heart of any machine is under this hood. Well now, you actually took a perfectly good pair of headers, cut them up, and ran them out the sides of the fenders. It's kind of neat. Cody, nice job.
Thank you.
All right. Ray, Brad, thank you, sir, as always. Did a fantastic job working with these guys. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
All right, well, now it's up to me to make a decision. My decision's final. You got it? Got it. Give me a little time to think about this. I'll be back as soon as I can. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
After 48 hours of back-breaking work, each car has gone through testing and rigorous inspection. It all comes down to this. Jimmy has exited the garage to mull his decision. The teams anxiously await his return.
If he goes, there's no way in hell I'll drive the car because it's white and it's got really flames on it. I don't like it. Well, then we're in big trouble. We're very impatient waiting on what Jimmy's going to say, all 6 of us. That being said, after listening to Jimmy and hearing what he said about both sides, I think Jimmy picks our car.
We're everything about quality. We just didn't butcher a car together. Our engine bay is solid, our paint is solid, our interior is solid. I'm pretty confident right now. I'm just a little nervous that Jimmy might have grown a set of boobs and said, you know what? I feel like driving a white Barbie-style convertible top Miata.
Okay. Chaotic Customs, Chicago, Illinois. Hot Rods by Dean, Phoenix, Arizona. Comes down to this, guys. We all signed up for this program knowing that there's going to be one team walking out of here. They get to take home that car they worked so hard to build. There's going to be another team leaving here tonight. They're going home with nothing. I came in here and I saw this team over here from Chicago. I mean, it was just like the name of your company, Chaotic. Brian, you tipped over. I really believe that you guys were going to be the first team to give up and go home. But you know what? I'm really impressed with what you guys did in 48 hours. Hot Rods by Dean. Seen your cars. Built some really fine stuff. You guys came in here, you really punished every challenge. Finished in record time. Really know what you're doing. But it comes down to this, and this is it. The winner, Car Warriors, 78 Firebird Challenge. Chaotic Customs.
Oh, yeah! Thank you. For me to win this competition, it's like a lifetime achievement award. On top of the fact that I really just kind of want to show my father that I can actually accomplish something and prove to him that believing in me was eventually the right decision.
It's disappointing we lost, obviously. I mean, we did what we did, and we
lived and died by it. Well, you know, there's only 48 hours in this competition. I watched this team walk through the doors, and I thought, wow, these guys are going to fail. But to my surprise, they didn't abandon ship. They really pulled it off. I didn't think they were going to do it. And those headers are super cool. The car looks fantastic. I'm really impressed.